How much of that can we get away with without getting flagged by YouTube, do you think?
Probably about that much.
The new Name That Tune is YouTube playing it with itself and with rights holders to famous songs. I can identify that song in 2 notes or 3 frames of that Justin Timberlake video that you're trying to rip off.
Right.
What do you think of when you think of ice? We need it.
Yes.
I know we need ice.
It's refreshing in drinks.
Yeah.
And slippery on slopes.
I think of party planning.
Yeah.
And also bounty hunting.
There you go.
Yeah, I think of both of those things. I wouldn't think of it as something that could destroy a broadband network.
I wouldn't either.
But it has.
It has.
It has for us personally, and yet we persevere and we move on because we promised a Black Panther review, and that's what we're going to deliver.
Yes.
It's going to be like this. I always love the classic jungle cat sound, which is like that growling sound that cats make. That's It's like the evil side of a purr.
Yes.
It's like you can't replicate it. It's like, oh, oh, which is not really what it is at all. And then the wow, wow. That's the classic one. I also like, there's the old standby. You know, that's just like, that's off camera. If you're in a comedy that's set near the jungle, and then it's like, but there might be creatures out there. And you hear that off camera. Or I think they do that in Pee-wee's Big Adventure when he's, he is walking through the desert at night, and he wants to put his headlight glasses on, right?
Yes.
And he finally puts them on, and then, there's like a stuffed animal. So, there's a parrot, and then there's like a cougar, stuffed cougar in the corner, and it goes, and that's how you know, Pee-wee's in trouble. This is a big deal. It is a big deal. We're here to talk about Black Panther, the movie, and some of the comics as well. And, of course, we're the Just Enough Trope podcast. I'm your host, Caliban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana.
And, oh boy, we should get right into it. Something that we do want to talk about, though, is the comics, which is where Black Panther comes from.
Yes.
And this is that part where we all get to pretend like we've been huge Black Panther fans all throughout the years.
Time.
Yeah, who knew? I always had it going. My man T'Challa, I knew he was going to get there.
Yeah.
I would have voted for Obama a 3rd time if I could have. And we'll talk about that, the phenomenon of the comics, kind of what he's been up to recently in the comics and his kind of ups and downs. And I'll just tell you right now, I'm a fan. I got a 13-year-old Black Panther shirt. I got some signed Sanford Green Black Panther art on my wall.
That's true.
But he's a character that I have to admit I probably didn't read a lot of necessarily.
Yeah.
Just because it's been hard. In the last 10 years or so, he's had a fairly consistent presence in Marvel Comics. But before that, it was kind of catch as catch can.
Sure.
And Marvel has for a long time had a stable of characters that were secondary characters. Their universe was big enough to make that happen. And so a guy like Doctor Strange would be a perfect guest star to show up in something like, or, oh no, Spidey, this is magic, isn't it? Yeah, well, let's head over to Bleecker Street and talk to Doctor Strange, you know, and then Wong lets us in, gives us some tea, and then the doctor tells us what's going on. And it isn't until recently that, creators who grew up reading the same things that I did and said, like, hey, Doctor Strange is cool. Why doesn't he have his own book? So I'm Bendis, and I'm going to add him to the Avengers, or I'm Jason Aaron, and I'm going to take off and do a thing for Doctor Strange. And so the same thing has happened with Black Panther to the point where he is elevated to being in the Avengers.
Right.
And I think that we should talk about, we'll talk about right now, like why Black Panther? Why the Black Panther? Why is there a Black Panther movie?
Why is there a Black Panther movie?
Yes.
Because Black Panther is cool, first of all.
Is he? Or is he? Which
oh my goodness.
Which one
I'd
is
say
it?
The first one.
This one?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely.
I think he's... Okay, now I'll put this down now. We won't do that anymore. But I think that he is cool. Absolutely. And he's a guy who, if you're gonna do an Avengers movie, there was a big debate, I think, about whether we would be doing New Avengers, which you can't do. You can't now, because it's got Spidey, and it's got Wolverine in it, and it's got the greatest hits. Or do you do the classic Avengers lineup? A bunch of characters who you would have to kind of stretch it to even call them secondary characters. Like,
Right.
you don't see a lot of like Scarlet Witch merchandise out there.
No, you don't.
But yet, when you look at the Avengers, you go Hawkeye, Vision, Scarlet Witch, Tigra, Wonder Man. These are people who, if you're going to put together an Avengers thing, you do. If you watch the frankly incredible Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon, yeah, they're throwing the Guardians in there because they're trying to get that property going, or it was hot in the comics at the time. They're going to do the Korvac saga because you have to, but who are we talking about? We're talking about the Wasp. We're talking about Yellow Jacket. We're talking about all these characters that just make the Avengers what they always have been. And so therefore, if you really want to take this Avengers world of movies that doesn't have any X-Men in it, or Fantastic Four, at least not yet, and you're going to exploit, let's say utilize every corner of that universe, what are we talking?
Right.
We're going to get to Black Panther.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think also we have to acknowledge the fact that he is a black superhero, and we want to get diversity in there.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. But he is a super cool black superhero.
Well, don't put that on. Oh, he's cool because he's black, huh?
Well, no, I'm not saying he's
He's
cool
very-
because
oh, so
he's black.
cool.
The Black Panther is cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, his costume is in his necklace.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Tony stores his in his bones.
Oh my gosh.
What now, T'Challa? Checkmate. Now, he is cool, and he also happens to be black, and they overlap.
Right.
You know, I don't think they
Exactly.
necessarily have to lean on each other, but they definitely support each other. And what are we talking about? We're a couple of honkies from the Midwest. But he's absolutely cool, and insofar as... So DC has Batman, and as we know, Batman covers a lot of circles.
Yes.
Like,
There's lots
Batman's
of Venn
diagram is a circle.
Yeah.
It's just a black circle. All black.
Like my soul.
And so if there's a thing that is probably close enough to black man, new superhero idea, write it down. Batman in Marvel, it's probably Black Panther. He is a denizen of the night. He is an animal-themed superhero who is a rich genius that
Yeah.
protects a specific parcel of land. But also reluctantly teams up with a supergroup when it's time to fight Starro the Conqueror. I'm getting my universes mixed up. So I think there's that parallel there. But why now? Like, why isn't he on everybody's lips? Why isn't there a Christopher Nolan trilogy? You know, why is it taken this far? So what phase are we in? Phase 18. We're this far into all the
Yes.
phases. And from a cynical perspective, a lot of this is going to be both uplifting and cynical simultaneously, because I
That's
think
fair.
I think it is a cynical move, because I think Marvel's like, do black people go to our movies? I don't know if they do, but let's get them to go to our movies.
Right.
That's both like a good choice, but it's also like a skeezy marketing choice.
Right.
But in the same way, if you can get something positive out of something cynical, I say go for it. They've absolutely done that, and you see pictures all over the nation from happy people of all colors just packing the theaters. And because of ICE, and because our broadband is down, I don't have exact numbers, but it's like hovering around $225 million, I think, for
That's
its opening
pretty
weekend.
amazing.
Yeah, which makes Deadpool go, "Whoa," and he gets his little hands on his face, and his eyes get really big like that. It's beat Deadpool. Of course, Deadpool still had the R-rated crutch. This is PG-13, so it was going to win anyway. But it is winning handily and setting all kinds of records. It is, I think it finally settled in like around 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty amazing for a C-list. Sorry, T'Challa, you gotta see your name for a C-list character that is, a bet, not necessarily a safe bet.
That's true.
But it's a bet of kinds, and nobody can shut up about it. There's a bunch of new Kendrick Lamar music, which, I'm not a huge fan, but a lot of people like Kendrick Lamar, so there's a lot of tie-ins. Lexus is taking a crap.
Yeah.
There's a car chase scene in the movie that is like, it should just have sponsored by Lexus in the corner of it.
Yes.
So let's actually talk about the film. Let's actually get to it.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the comics for a little bit
Well,
afterwards.
speaking of Kendrick Lamar, apparently he bought
Must
out
we?
like 3 theaters so low-income kids could go see the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then Lexus drove all the kids.
Yes.
In Lexi.
That's correct.
That's the plural for Lexus, right? So yes, Black Panther, Marvel Studios, starring T'Challa, who we've already met in Civil War. So this is not. It's an origin movie of sorts, but we're really just kind of diving right in.
Yes.
And seeing how the man works. Is there like a synopsis that you think you can deliver within a certain integer of words?
Okay, I think I can do that. T'Challa becomes king, but he is.
And you just can't wait to be.
That's right. It is a little line.
Well, we'll talk about that.
But he becomes king, but he is challenged by another tribesman from a different tribe, and later is challenged by Killmonger. So there's a lot of challenging going on.
They want challenge.
Yes.
They all want a challenge.
And basically he wants to bring Claw to justice. Claw stole a lot of vibranium.
Right.
And has also just kind of been a menace to them. And they want to bring this crime to be judged, basically, by them.
Yeah.
And basically Killmonger shows up and shakes the whole world upside down.
Right. Shook up the world.
That's right.
Right.
And they think... Spoilers.
No.
Okay.
We'll do our thing where we can give our impressions for maybe 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
And then at that point we'll say goodbye to people who don't want anything spoiled, give our recommendations, and then we'll talk about specific things that might be spoilery.
Okay. So they pursue Claw.
So we'll start from the beginning. So T'Challa becomes king. He can't wait. Sorry, I just finished.
So they pursue Claw.
I can't wait till you're done.
And
hijinks ensue.
Yeah. Killmonger shows up.
We got it.
Okay.
All right. Remember, synopsis, not recap.
All right. Sorry.
All right. So thank you for the 232-word synopsis.
Sure.
So this is a film that does anything fit anywhere anymore?
I don't know.
We should just see what we already did. We should just start talking about the film, and we're already talking about. We've
Where
all
it
become
fits.
junior studio executives for Disney now because we're all talking about where it fits. Something that I both love and hate about this is that it doesn't fit. I think that's fine, and I think the film is strong enough that if it was just called Coal Tiger, for instance, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, I think it could operate completely. You just go, oh, they came up with this new superhero. The twist is that like he's Tony Stark, but he's a black guy, and let's see how that goes. I think it would totally perform.
Sure.
But also, something that, and I think I was whining about this the other day to you, is that as a Marvel Universe fan, and we were just talking about this, I love the fact that there is a constellation of Marvel superheroes. So you could be reading a Spider-Man comic book, and Nova shows up, because Stiltman is up to no good or whatever, and you know that you've always got this never-ending salad bar of things you can draw on, which we've never had before. When Spawn shows up, he's the only superhero there ever was. When Green Lantern shows up, he is introducing the world to a crappy movie and also what Green Lantern is. Like, there are no other superheroes. They have, what Marvel and Kevin Feige have done, in my mind, which is the best achievement is, they have secretly made us all continuity nerds. People who have never picked up a comic book are like, yeah, but remember, like Bucky said that one time, that he put the newspapers in his shoes, and that's how he knows that he's okay, or whatever.
Right.
That was like 4 films ago, motherfucker! Like, so, the fact that you have all these elements, whenever we go off and we do one of these solo movies, it has to live or die on its own merits, and it often dies, or at least delivers a solid but unremarkable film. See Doctor Strange. See Ant-Man. See whatever.
Right.
The Iron Man movies don't count, because that's just, I don't know, those kids are doing their own thing. It's barely even ever, recognizes the fact that it exists in a universe of other superheroes. And so that's something that I was a little disappointed about in this. It does have to be, it's his first movie, it does have to be T'Challa's story, and I don't expect Stiltman, for instance, to come swooping in, but it was a little, I missed the salad bar.
Like, this
Okay.
entree is great, but I'm going back for some of that salad. That was pretty good.
Sure. The
You know,
variety.
has no one said ever.
Yeah.
And that's also hurt a little bit when, and we won't spoil anything now, but 51% of your movie is a Killmonger movie, and it's not a
Right.
Black Panther movie?
Right.
You need a strong villain, and Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger is, in my mind, one of the strongest villains and most
Absolutely.
believable villains.
Yes.
That, except for the fact that he can do everything, but so can T'Challa.
Yep.
That they've ever created. But you know, I feel like it leaves T'Challa being like, "Hi, my film. Hey, what's going on?
Right.
I got sneakers. We're not gonna do anything. Come on." What did you think about that?
I thought it was an interesting choice to focus on Killmonger as much as they did. It's a little disheartening because it is Panther's film.
It is Panther's film,
Yeah.
but it is in many ways an ensemble
Yeah.
film, because it's not just Panther, it's everybody. It's
All the 5 different tribes that make up Wakanda.
yes, and he's got a whole team of people that he's working with,
Yep.
who no internet means I'm gonna get their names wrong, so I'll probably just refer to them as their actor names so I can get that part right. But it's like late period James Bond. It's kind of a James Bond movie.
It kind of is.
At one point they went, this guy's a cool dude, and Idris Elba didn't get the James Bond job, at least not yet, so let's make it a Black James Bond movie.
Right.
Which is a great idea, and I think fits the Black Panther sort of model, but it's, again, I feel like we're just kind of diluting the presence of T'Challa. Don't get me wrong, I would watch a Shuri spinoff, no problem.
Oh, me too.
Let's pair M'Baku and Shuri, and
Okay.
it's like a odd couple road movie, and just send them off
Okay.
in a remote controlled Lexus to do whatever. And I love all the characters they added, but again, I'm like, there's one guy on my shirt. But that is like the slightest of complaints. Like, this steak is too good.
Yeah.
Should we go letter grade, or are we not there yet? Let's talk more about the elements
Okay.
of the film. Like, how do you think it compares to other Marvel solo films?
Well, I liked it a lot better or more than Ant-Man or Doctor Strange.
Well, yeah.
I thought there was more going on in the film. It kept me entertained.
That's good.
Yeah. I don't know if I would put it above Civil War or not.
Not so. Huh?
No, it's not. Or Winter Soldier, which I feel like isn't a solo film either.
Not really. No. That's
It's-
okay though. See, I think that works. Cap had his movie.
Yes.
He had his day, and then, well, what do you do? Man Without a Country. You know, the idea of patriotism has taken some hits already. It's been done.
Right.
So let's get the most interesting thing that's happened to Cap in the last 15 years, which is The Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Get that right in there. And so I think that works. Trying to think if Claw is in this movie.
Yes, he is.
Killmonger was a good choice for a villain, I think, especially what they did with him. Venom? I'm trying to think of like the rest of like, who do you get from T'Challa's, you know, who's in the sequel?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, what do you do? We were we'll talk about this in a second, but we're reading some of the other comics, and again, don't know the names, don't got internet, but there's an issue by Jack Kirby where T'Challa's like out of town, and so like there's the rest of his like relatives
Okay.
who are all, I don't know if you read this issue, but
I don't think I got there.
they're all related to him. They're all like of the T'Challa family.
Okay.
And so the guy who's in charge while T'Challa's gone is like, you guys gotta stop this guy. And the bad guy is a general, and he's like, this is something else. So we all love T'Chaka. He's great. Angela Bassett, perfect wife.
Yeah.
She's not T'Challa's mother, I don't think, in the comics. Like, he's been married to a couple women. And
Oh,
so
okay.
every once in a while they'll bring in, oh, this is his half brother and he wants the throne, and so he's got to fight that guy. So in this case, they're fighting this guy. T'Challa's not there, and so these four guys, one of them's like a doctor, one of them's like a race car driver. They get together, and they don't have heart-shaped herb, they got nothing, but they're like, we're gonna be the Black Musketeers.
Okay.
And so they have to like team up as this ragtag group to stop the guy. It's like, all right, well, that's kind of fun.
That's something.
Let's add more people to this entourage. It's bigger than Kendrick Lamar's at this point. What did you think about Wakanda?
Wakanda was cool. They had it so it was masked from the outside. It looked like a bunch of trees and stuff like that. And you fly in, and then you see these skyscrapers. And I think you mentioned before, like, one of them had, like, thatched roofs and stuff like that. And it was just really cool to see the view, like, flying in. And it seemed like a really robust city, and it was just teeming with life.
I felt like there was a suggestion of robustness, robusto,
Uh-huh.
but I would have liked to have seen more of that.
Sure.
Like, we get very quickly, it's like, oh, it's the mining tribe, it's the ape tribe, they don't like
Right.
technology, and we set this up. And then...
It's the farmer tribe.
Yeah, and they're guys that raise war rhinos for some reason.
Right.
With the guy from Get Out. And they're all, like, on the council, but that's kind of it. And then every once in a while they show some cool-looking skyscrapers, and there's a unassuming clean energy trolley car that drives around.
Right.
And I'm like, that's it? Like, when Spider-Man defends New York, we already know New York. We know what New York is.
Right.
Sam Raimi's going to have a hot dog vendor go, I don't know about this Spider-Man guy, he's a menace. But I just never felt like we got a real sense of Wakanda. I wanted to really understand what it is he's protecting. I mean, we had assumed
Yeah.
that they are good, people. They love their king, but it asks you to assume, and it's already a 2-hour movie. I've heard people say that it's either too long or too short, and I have levied that myself at some of these films.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
I didn't think it was too long.
I've heard the pacing sort of criticized. I didn't think that was a problem. I do think that the middle is slow.
Yeah.
There's a lot in the beginning and there's a lot at the end, and there's not much in the middle. But that just fits into my need more T'Challa type stuff.
Sure.
Other than that, Chadwick Boseman, I don't know how he does this, because I was not really familiar with him. He's in Get On Up and and all this other stuff. So he's proven that he's kind of chameleonic. But then I was watching him on a YouTube video, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm from South Carolina." It's like, "Oh, he's American." I didn't even
Right.
I didn't even think about it. And he talks totally normal. But
Yep.
but I don't know if it's like a Batman thing, but it's like, okay, now you're gonna be T'Challa. I am T'Challa now. It's like, what? This guy's he's got an amazing instrument. He can do all this stuff.
I think it was a directing choice to like have him do that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of throws you for a loop when you hear him speaking, quote unquote, normally.
Yeah. So he's good in it. Like a little more. I mean, Michael B. Jordan. Like, what do you say? He's good.
He's convincing as Killmonger.
He is, and he also brings. Careful. He plays a kind of thuggish character.
Yeah.
Just go with me. But what makes it sort of interesting and special in this film is that he is supposed to be this character who is kind of thuggish, set against this entirely black cast
Yes.
of not African Americans, of African people,
Yes.
who is acting totally different. They come from this country that's like amazing and has all these resources, and he's playing this guy, and his entire arc is, I grew up in hell, and I deserve all these things, and I'm going to come take them, and I'm going to take the throne from you, and I'm not going to miss when I come at the king, and I've got my Wire DVDs, and I'm going to do this right, and now I'm in charge, and we're going to run this town, and we're going to take over the world.
Right.
And, yeah, I mean, you could say, it's kind of stereotypical, but it's like, it's put to good use.
Yes.
Like, it is well used in this, and he does a good job in it. And everybody else is great. I wish that Lupita Nyong'o had more to do, because she's real good.
She is really good.
And I forgot her name already, but the lady from Walking Dead.
Yes.
We've already got a bunch of spin-offs, but what the hell? No. Let's have a spin-off for her character, because,
Yeah.
wow!
Her character is great.
Yeah, she's...
Fantastic. She steals the show somewhat.
Yeah, totally. And, again, part of it is to show that, yeah, he's cool, he's got gadgets or whatever, but this guy's, he's young. You know, he doesn't have a lot of wisdom. He freezes when he sees his ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
Which is a joke that they kind of beat into the ground. And so he's got all these other characters who are like, she's the Zabu.
Yeah.
Right? That's the parrot in The Lion King?
Yes.
Right. Did I get that right?
I think so. Or is it Zazu?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson.
Yes.
Whatever. You've got Denzel Washington. Excuse me, hold on. You've got Denzel Whitaker
Yes.
playing young Zuri, which is let's keep moving. Don't worry about it. Who is the young version of Forrest Whitaker? Not related, but
Which is just crazy. to
don't
me.
look dissimilar.
Yeah.
Not related at all. But anyway, and Forrest Whitaker, of course, is in it. He does a great job. Again, another character that I could have taken a lot more of.
Yeah.
It's not, I think it's in the trailer. You know, we do see the actor who plays Chaka again, whose name I can't remember, in a real great scene there.
Yep.
I mean, I'm ready to like...
The actress who plays Shuri does
Oh
a
yeah,
great
Letitia
job.
Wright is, my favorite. 100%.
She's the comedic relief
Yes,
in a lot of it.
yeah. And Andy Serkis,
Yeah.
who I'll talk about when we get into spoilers. Martin Freeman is good.
Yep.
They seem like they were setting him up for like a kind of villainous role in Civil War,
That's what I thought too.
and it kind of flips around, and he kind of joins the team. He's the black sidekick in this movie, basically.
Yeah, he is.
But he's the white sidekick,
Yeah.
which is a great twist. I'm ready to give reviews, and we'll talk spoilery stuff.
Okay. I would give it 2 thumbs up.
Just 2?
Just 2.
You can use other people's thumbs.
All right, 5 thumbs up.
Whoa! Where'd you get this from?
I would give it like 5 out of 5 stars.
Wow.
I
Okay.
think it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. And up until, the ending, I was enjoying the movie, so.
Oh, you didn't like the ending?
No, I liked the ending.
Oh, all through the ending.
Yes.
Okay. But they really lost you in the post-credit scene.
Oh, yeah, they totally lost me.
Just like a Infinity War. It's 3 hours long. It's hitting every single note. It goes by like a dream. And then like the post-credit scene is like, "Thanks for your service, Captain." And it's like, "You're welcome, Mr. Trump." And then like put their arms around each other.
Yeah,
3 hours wasted.
yeah.
Maybe not. I kind of vacillated. I vacillated near the high end of the scale, but I walked out going, "Yeah!" And then I went home like I usually do, and I was like, "Wait a minute." But then I've thought through it some more, and I would say, in a world where A pluses exist, I'll give it an A minus.
Okay,
If there are no A pluses and A is the top, B plus.
okay.
I want it 2 clicks down from perfect.
That's fair.
Just because in a lot of ways, it is extremely well made, but it's extremely well made in that very polished kind of way.
Yes.
And sometimes when you polish all the edges off of something to make it beautiful and smooth, you lose all the individual character. And for a film that is, I know it's not the first black superhero movie, but it's definitely going to be the biggest grossing
Right.
and most expensive black superhero movie ever.
Sorry,
I
Blade.
would've- Yeah, well, Blade's around still.
Yeah.
You can always watch your Blade DVDs. I would have liked for it to have a little more character and make a little more impact than just be, well, it's very by the numbers, it does everything a Marvel movie does. Like, I would have liked to see them really jerk the wheel in that virtual car.
Sure.
But there's literally nothing you can complain about, except for what we're about to complain about. So let's go on and talk about spoilers. And if anybody is going to offload now, thanks for listening. You can find us on Facebook at Just Enough Trope and at Just Enough Trope on Twitter. And we're also on YouTube. This video is probably on YouTube as well. So hit that bell, do all the stuff that you do, and we'll see you on the flippy flop with more episodes of Just Enough Trope coming up in the new year. Let's talk about spoilers now.
Okay.
Go. Man, you want to get that
I love the North Korea scenes.
out. South Korea?
South Korea. I meant. Oh my goodness.
Idea for a sequel.
Yeah.
T'Challa's
Quite
plane goes
different.
down over North Korea.
Quite different.
Begin.
Um,
He liberates everybody, feeds them, and now he's the king of Wakanda and South Korea.
Right.
Or North Korea. I'm doing it too.
There's a fun casino scene,
James
which
Bond.
is yeah, so much more fun than the casino scene we see in The Last Jedi. Just want to make that comparison really
Whoa.
quick.
Vibranium mining arm cannon, shots fired.
Yeah. When Walking Dead chick, I don't know her name, she like flings off her wig and like takes out her spear.
Yeah.
That just kicked so much butt
Yeah.
and was awesome. And then I also love the car chase scene when Shuri gets into a remotely drivable car
Yeah.
and everything, and T'Challa goes on top, and then Walking Dead chick again gets on top of the car with her spear. Woman. Yes.
Yeah, it was neat. This gets to my problem with T'Challa in the movie, which is I like the fact that he has a team. I think that's never a bad message to send. It's
Right.
always good to send in a kids movie. Basically, you need friends. Help your friends. They'll help you. Fine.
Right.
Even Batman has turned to that in the last couple of years. Stories about Batman are never about him going it alone. It's always about him needing the Bat family to back him up.
Right.
And yes, he could probably do it himself, but it's not good to be a loner and that sort of thing. I could have used a little more. T'Challa's on the back foot. He pulls himself up by his sandal straps. What are those?
Yes.
And he kind of gets it done. And there wasn't a lot of like, don't get me wrong, he's doing all over Civil War. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so I guess I was looking for a little more of him being like a one-man army. And instead, it's all about being a ruler, getting people together. I get it. But give me like, there's the scene at the beginning, but it's almost, that's just to show us that he's above a certain level of stuff. If
Yes.
you are a dozen guys with AKs, don't even come knocking, because you're not going to.
You're not gonna
No.
survive Black Panther.
But I would have liked to have seen him be more Black Panther-y, to sneak around, to use stealth to his advantage, to win a fight against 6 guys, to do the things that, I want Batman. Batman doesn't do enough of.
Sure.
Also, be a cat. His sense of smell never comes in, The fact that he
Right.
can see in the dark is never a thing. And in that car scene, sponsored by Lexus,
Yes.
Lexus, driving perfection, excellence, whatever it is. He's literally being ferried around by the other characters. Like,
That's
he
true.
kind of does some stuff, but Dora Milaje chick kills everybody. Then he's being driven by his sister to the point where he can just go, "Stop, Claw, I got you." It's like, whose movie is this?
Yeah.
He does one cool thing where he runs on a building or whatever, and that's like it. And so it's like, kind of want to
We
see him
never
do some.
see him be a scientist either.
Yeah, but again, we don't see Batman be a scientist.
That's
you
true.
have an entourage, you have a cast of characters, so we push it off on other people. I don't believe in the comics that Shuri specializes in tech. She's not his Q. She's just kind of like another him, basically.
Okay.
And she can also turn into like a bird sometimes. I don't know. The comics are weird. So I mean it's not really disappointing. It's just kind of like not the direction that I would have necessarily wanted to take it. I also think there's a lot of great individual scenes in this film, and I'm not sure how they necessarily fit into a particular whole.
I could see that.
I would almost want to see like a separate movie where we follow Killmonger and maybe just him, trying to achieve his goal, get into Wakanda, and T'Challa's kind of on the sides.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what the movie becomes in the middle part, where T'Challa disappears for like the second act.
Yes.
And then it's just Killmonger's story.
Yes.
And I don't know. He's a bad guy. We know he's a bad guy. He is what he was made by men with more power than he, and that's why he wants power, so he can finally do what he wants to do. But what if he was just like, all right, I'm good. Why don't we open some embassies, some aid stations?
Right.
What if he suddenly became like a good ruler, and then T'Challa's back like, I'll kill you, and he's like, go away, T'Challa, he's doing fine.
Right.
We like King Killmonger. No, instead he's like, let's drive the world into chaos because I'm the Joker, I guess. I'm
Yeah.
Black Joker. And it's like, all right,
Let's supply countries with weapons from vibranium.
right. Let me immediately. I understand that like he's twisted because of he's been twisted, but now it's like, nah, I'm
Right.
gonna do the twisting. It's like, all right, well, maybe not though.
Yeah.
Like your dad. They don't ever say Black Panther Party in the movie, but your dad
Right.
was kind of like, yeah, he was dealing in guns, but I think the idea was that he saw a lot of people on the streets who were hungry and being oppressed, and he's like, these people need to step up. And we don't know necessarily that his dad would have been, burn the world. But, you know, I mean, activist groups of the 60s and 70s wanted the same thing.
Right.
So I think they were definitely trying to draw parallels there, but suddenly, like, Eric Killmonger's like, I'll kill Ghost Dog, I don't care.
Right.
I don't do anything. All right, take it easy. I don't really know what was going on with that. Does Andy Serkis, is he planning to retire?
I don't know.
Let's kill all of his characters.
I know.
Gollum, dead. I don't watch the Planet of the Apes movies, but probably not looking good for Caesar, right?
Probably not.
Snoke, dead.
Yep.
Like, he's like, I'll need a job, matey. Like, I feel bad about that, but I'm sure he'll land on his feet.
Yeah. I liked his arm. I thought that was cool. The vibranium.
I liked that. It's another thing where I think that the movie's at odds with itself because I liked how fake looking it was,
Yep.
but then why does it just works like an arm. Like he can do
Yeah.
whatever he wants with it. It's a fully bionic arm. What if it was just a prosthetic arm? And I guess I didn't really look closely in the film if he's really only holding things in his right hand, but I don't think so.
Right.
And so it works fine as an arm, but then why make it look super rubbery and cheap? Like if it was just
That's a good point.
a rubber hand to hide a gun that I've got on my hand.
Right.
I didn't really understand the design decision there. What else? There are a lot of obvious, but I think strong and pertinent parallels in this. We've talked about it being the Panther King, you know, Cloud, T'Challa,
Right.
you must avenge my death. Which makes it, of course, is the connection to Hamlet, but it's kind of an anti-Hamlet in some ways, because Killmonger's father has been killed by his brother, so
Yes.
Killmonger is Hamlet.
Oh, you're right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes T'Challa Fortinbras or Horatio or
Good
what.
point.
But if you take some great elements and instead of just repeating everything, you mix them up and you upset the fruit basket and you go, all right, what do we got? Like that's kind of what this does. And when I think about it, and I've heard other people talk about this, he kind of gets what he wants. I mean, I'm sure Killmonger didn't want to be stabbed to death,
Right.
but Wakanda does what he wants. After
Yeah.
this is over, T'Challa, I mean, it's not just, I mean, just write a memo or like hold a protest.
Right.
Don't like throw somebody off a waterfall.
Right.
But he basically says like, we should be out there helping people. Why aren't we doing that? And T'Challa's like, I'll stab you in the chest. Oh, good idea. And at the end of the movie, that's what he ends up doing.
Yep.
So Killmonger kind of got what he wanted.
Yeah.
So
And some
that's
people.
good, right? I think.
Yeah. Some people have said that that cut scene at the end is kind of in reference to Trump's presidency.
Well, obviously.
So.
Yeah, there's political parallels that are just inherent, and I like the fact that they, for the most part, resisted, except for literally talking about not building walls.
Yes.
They resisted really hitting you in the face with that,
Yeah.
which must have been real tough.
Yes.
And my kudos go out to the screenwriters of the film. It also made me think that, so there's an opening sequence that is like, you want your origin story? Here you go. Now let's move on. That we've seen a lot recently in films. Let's tell a story that's mythological, and so we'll find like a music boxy style, or they're living statues or whatever. Let's tell this mythological fairy tale story in a fast way with a cool visual look.
Yep.
And this movie nails it. Who knew that we could come up with some new way for a computer to make some kind of image that was semi-physical? And in this, it's like ash or sand or whatever it is.
Right.
Which is great, and that's kind of how the opening sequence is. And I just realized the opening sequence is Najobu is Eric's dad telling that story to Eric.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, that's who it is. You hear like, oh, Dad, tell me a story. It's like, all right, well, what about this story? Once there was this great nation, and they had this warrior that was amazing, but the world turned all, there's turmoil, and the nation hid itself, and he's totally telling the story to Eric, a young Eric.
You're right.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I don't know, I just thought about that. No comment.
No, I think you're right.
So succinctly and amazingly put. What about also the idea that it's a religious kind of parallel, that Killmonger, if we're going to give him this much status, is an anti-hero?
Yes.
He is his own sort of protagonist in that Satan was cast out, Satan was wronged and cast out.
Right.
And so, he wants to upset the order. He wants to come back. I guess that's what all, like, chaotic, antisocial sort of villains are. And T'Challa literally dies and returns to life.
That's true.
So that makes him
Jesus.
Noah. Oh, Jesus, right. Biblical parallels. The one thing I wanted to complain about, and then I'll shut up, is that I also felt like Coogler is very strong as a director, and I think he's a writer too, and clearly there's a reason that Michael B. Jordan is 51% of this film, is because
Yes.
they're a team.
They worked together before, yes.
But I'm not sure that he has quite captured, like a lot of these artistic, talented directors they draw in, he doesn't know how to do like a big movie. And my thing is, if you want an epic film that's got hundreds of warriors charging at each other, and you've got like armored rhinos, you're clearly doing like a Lord of the Rings thing, then hand that off to the CGI guys, the second unit guy, however that works. Because I felt like the last confrontation, the last battle, is supposed to be very epic, and it felt very small to me.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It felt like 24 guys. There's like 24 guys with the blue shields. There's maybe a dozen gorilla guys. There's a dozen Dora Milaje, and they're all fighting or whatever. And it's like, I wanted like, well, we've already seen in the Infinity War trailers what we presume to be at Wakanda, and there are just hundreds of people like all running at, the four-legged panther people or whatever. Wow! Wow! And so that just like, at the end, they do that thing where it's like, all right, I'm going to count to 3 and you're all dead. It's like, he'll never make it to 3. And then, but right before 3, and M'Baku comes in with the Jakarta tribe or whatever they are, and there's like 4 guys. And you're like, wow! Poker night's over, everybody. We gotta go. We gotta help these guys out. I just wanted it to be a little like, a little more epic.
That's fair.
Anything else?
I felt like they killed Claw too early. I wanted to see more with Claw. I thought he was a great villain, a great...
In the comics, he is living sound. So I don't know if they'd ever do that in... I wish they'd do that in the movies, because that would sort of tip their hand that maybe they're willing to do a man made of ionic energy.
Yeah.
And get a Wonder Man in here. But, yeah. Plus, just to lose Andy Serkis. He's having a ball in this film.
Yeah.
He sings, "What is love? Baby, don't hurt me," at one point. And it's clear that they were just like, I don't know, Andy, you do whatever you want. And then they're looking at the dailies and they're like, did you tell him to do whatever he wanted? You can't tell Andy that.
Yeah. No kidding.
He'll do whatever.
He really will do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Anyway, I enjoyed this half-Creed movie. The Creed sequel's weird.
Yeah, I'll say.
I don't know. I'm going to see it again for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll see if my opinion changes at all in years 2. But yeah, strong.
Apparently, years ago, Wesley Snipes was planning on playing Black Panther.
Yeah.
And it went off and on for quite a while.
Yeah. But he didn't have that.
No,
He couldn't bring that. He had the it's open season on all suckheads instead. And they're like, why would Black Panther say that? Doesn't make any sense. Let's talk about Black Panther comics real fast. We read a bunch of Black Panther comics for this. I think it's significant that Black Panther originally debuted in Fantastic Four 52, which if
I was
I've
going to ask you about that.
got my numbers right, we read the Galactus saga for the show a while ago,
Yep.
which was like 48, 49, and 50, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. So that's generally considered to be some of the best comics
Fantastic
ever
Four.
made. Yeah. And then just right on the heels of that, these two white Jewish guys in Manhattan go, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" And Jack Kirby's probably like, "I think you're thinking about eating my lunch." And I told you, I put my name on it. Don't eat it, Stan. It's delicious. And let's introduce a black superhero. Why not?
Right.
And it'll be called the Coal Tiger. I think we can fix that.
Yeah, we can do better than that.
If you search online, you can find some interesting art of an original design for the costume of Black Panther, which is not. It must have. Oh man, Stan must have talked Jack into that, right? Because the quote unquote Coal Tiger costume is Kirby all the way, and it's like, you want stripes? I got stripes. Here's your freaking stripes. It's a tiger. What do you want? I guess that's my Jack Kirby. And but Stan's like, all black. Well, can I put some like Aztec feathers on him? It's all black. He's a Black Panther. There's a what party now? Apparently that comic came out in like July of '66, and the Black Party like officially said, "Hey, we're this thing called the Black Panther Party" in like October of '66.
I heard that as well.
So
that
technically,
it predates.
it predates it. Although, from what I understand, like the image of a Black Panther was used by like college groups like before that.
Okay.
So, just because they've said, "What's up? We're the Black Panther Party," it doesn't mean that it wasn't being used before. But I don't think that Stan was going. I don't know where he bought his tea, but I don't think that Stan was like really up on what was happening, like with the kids on the college campuses. On the campus of Metro State University, or wherever Johnny went, with Wyatt Wingfoot.
Yes. Wyatt
We'll get him
Wingfoot.
in there. We'll get all the races in there. We'll do this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, he debuted there, and immediately you read these issues, right?
Yes, I did.
Immediately we find out that he sends a jet or something to Reed Richards, and he's like,
Yes.
"Check this out." It says like it's got bait scratched out on it.
Yeah.
And then like Reed's like, "What an amazing car! Let's get in and just go wherever it takes us."
Yep.
And that's how they died in the sun. No, but it takes them to Wakanda, and we see this image of Wakanda that would persist a little. It would be in the comics for a while. It was actually been in the cartoon in the '90s, I think, when they went to
Okay.
Wakanda. But the idea that like, oh, they're giant metal trees. How do you say an advanced future forest? The trees are made of metal, and they look regular on the outside. So they open up and they fly in, but it's like, oh, there's metal plants, and like what?
Right.
So anyway, like the Black Panther is lured them there so he can defeat them because all he understands is ritual combat, I guess. So he could beat the
Yeah.
snot out of the Fantastic Four to prove that he's like ready to take on Claw. And it's one of those things that exist. I mean, these guys invented it, but you know, the heroes have to fight before they make friends.
Yeah, but it comes across as Black Panther as like an adversary
Yeah.
at first, and I had kind of a problem with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He hunts.
I know he.
You don't wanna
hunts,
be his
but
prey.
he like tricked them and everything,
Yeah.
and it's like, why are you doing this to the Fantastic Four? They just wanted to come and, you know.
Johnny's trying to get over Crystal still.
Oh yeah.
He's flunking out of Metro State.
The Inhumans are in this as well.
Yeah, well,
So-
we just left off the Inhumans. In fact, that run is, if you haven't read that run, just first of all, read all the Fantastic Four, but that run is amazing. I believe those issues are where we meet, where they go to the Attilan. It's right after Attilan is shut off from the world. You know, the negative zone barrier, you know, has trapped them all inside. And of course, Johnny was, you know, getting sweet with
Crystal.
at that point. And so, because Stan cut his teeth on, you know, Millie the Model and like all these romance books, he's got that in there. And so Johnny's like, Crystal.
And he can barely think of anything else.
He can barely pick on Ben.
Yes.
It's horrible.
It is horrible.
And so eventually we get the origin story of Black Panther, is that Wakanda was this proud nation. They always had this, long ago, this meteor fell to Earth in their nation, in Africa. and it was made of this vibranium metal. And so now
Sure.
there's this huge amount of vibranium. And they've always had it, like, I guess they made weapons and stuff out of it, but they didn't really know what they had in their hands. And I think this has all been retconned now. But so Claw shows up, and he's like a miner and like a thug, and he's also got these sound experiments. And he's like, if I get my hands on this metal, I know actually what is he? He's doing like a South African thing, which I'm not even going to try that. Got to watch District 9 a couple more times. But yeah, so he wants to get his hands on this metal, and so he's like enslaving Wakandans, and this is all 20 years ago or like 15 years
Right.
ago. And so in the attack, like T'Challa is killed, and so Black Panther like commits himself to like that's his Bruce Wayne moment. He's like, I'm gonna train myself, and I'm gonna sell some of this metal. Again, this is kind of a retconning thing, but originally he just sell it to scientists in the world. Why not?
Sure.
And I guess they never asked where it came from, and then they get all the money and they're able to get advances in weapons and technology, but they don't live in skyscrapers. Like many people still live in huts. I just assume nobody worries about where their next meal is going to come from.
Right.
So, I don't. That's kind of two white guys looking in on an African society. You think an African doesn't want an iPhone?
Right.
He absolutely does. But anyway,
course.
their idea was they've got this idyllic, peaceful lifestyle. They're not too worried about, the ins and outs of the modern world, but they don't want for anything. So if little Okebe falls down and breaks his leg, they probably could just go fix it, no problem, and he's right back out there. So it's this balance of like the native lifestyle. And after they make friends with him, he takes them to like a luau or whatever, and so
Right.
there's still traditional dancing, and Ben makes some kind of off-color comments and probably should just shut up about like, I've seen all these jungle movies. Ben, can you just shut up
Yeah.
before this king decides that he does want to
He-
kill us? And he
Ben
almost
gets
did.
Ben gets bored with
Yeah.
T'Challa's stories.
Ben needs a Johnny to be mad at to really
Yeah.
balance him out. And so yeah, so eventually we find out that Black Panther, he fights back, he defeats Claw, who has now developed this. When he was young, he shot Claw's hand off, or basically like broke Claw's hand.
Yep.
So Claw's invented this sonic cannon, and he's got this sonic machine that can create sound versions of animals, which are terrifying apparently.
Yes.
A giant red gorilla. And he gets thrown into it himself at the end, which these guys know how to do it. They're setting it up that we'll see Claw in the future as a giant red guy. Or maybe just Fruitvale Station shoots him in the face a bunch of times. I don't know. Whatever we want to do. Wherever we want to go with that. So yeah, man, I love those comics. They're strong. That's a great run. And Kirby would return to the character. Actually, we're kind of doing this out of order, but was it Don McGregor, I think? There was a comic in the 70s, it's like 75, 76, called Jungle Action.
Okay.
I don't think you could do that now. But anyway, it was like Kazar and things like that. And so they did a Black Panther story, and this is where Black Panther really started to pick up steam. Like Don McGregor introduced Killmonger and Venom and this cast of characters that would kind of show up again. Elements like Warrior Falls, which of course we see in the film,
Yep.
and things like that. And it's really thought of by a lot of people as like the first. Yeah, I know that The Death of Captain Marvel is the first Marvel graphic novel, but the issues from like 6 to 24, like this 18-issue run, is seen by many people as being fantastic. It's this long ongoing story that shows how cool T'Challa is. It builds up the world of Wakanda. At one point, the editors were like, you can't have a comic that's just all black people and one snake guy who's a white guy. Like, you have to have more. So McGregor's like, all right, fine. T'Challa fights the KKK. How do you like that?
Oh my
I got all the
gosh.
white people you want. And it was really influential to a lot of people. Now, I love Marvel 70s comics. Like, I'm a big, like, Frank Miller Daredevil guy and Denny O'Neil Daredevil. I don't really love these comics. I think they're okay. I
Okay.
think that they're, like, a real solid B for, like, Marvel 70s. But, I don't know. They're not really my favorite.
That's fair.
Did you read some of them?
I did. I was kind of wondering what T'Challa was doing, getting messed up with all these collectors, and like what was going on in Wakanda.
That's later.
Okay.
That's the Black Panther ongoing.
Okay.
This is where they introduced Killmonger and the Snake guy. Did you read them?
I did. I read like 3 of them.
Uh-huh. Some of those that stuff gets put into the film, especially being beaten by Killmonger, being thrown off the waterfall, and all that. Although most of the elements in the film come from Christopher Priest's reboot of the character in the 90s.
Okay.
Which we did not read for this. We also did not read the shoot. I can't remember who wrote it, but I know John Romita Jr. Drew another reboot, which took place in the mid 2000s, and then of course that introduced Shuri as a character. Then there's another volume after that where Shuri becomes queen for a while.
Okay.
And then, of course, I have read the Ta-Nehisi Coates reboot, but we're not going to talk about that for this.
Okay.
It's good, though. If you go pick up a modern Black Panther comic, you will not be disappointed. They're really good. Yeah, you're talking about the 1977 reboot ongoing of Black Panther, which was Jack Kirby's back. See, Jack Kirby had an ass full of Marvel comics, and he went over to DC and invented the New Gods and the hippie people, whatever I can't remember what they're called, the Forever people, and some bad stuff, and the whole Fourth World thing. And then he got lured back to Marvel to do Marvel stuff.
Okay.
And they gave him Black Panther, had just been real popular, so they're like, Jack Kirby's back, and he's gonna do Black Panther, and that's my jam, because it's Black Panther in the Kirby style, two-fisted, the whole panel's exploding, there's giant samurai robots or something like that.
Yep.
It's completely crazy. It drops you in, and you immediately start reading, and you're like, did I miss at issue 0 or something? I have no idea what's going on here.
Right.
There's a time machine frog that belonged to King Solomon.
Yep.
And it brings back, they're like, ooh, it brought back a caveman. Be careful. Can it bring back things from the future? And then something, meow, this like giant gray guy with a huge forehead.
Yep.
I am from Hatch 22.
Looks like an alien
from the year
X-Files.
8 million, and you're like, what is going on?
Yep.
And there's all these neat elements that people have kind of brought back, but it's like only just super fans who try to squeeze them back in. Like, I like the idea of the collectors. Somehow T'Challa gets wrapped up with this group of, like, it'd be a great metaphor for, like, now, of, like, I don't know if they're CEOs,
right,
or golden parachute people, but they collect stuff, basically. And there's one of them, Flippy Dippy Jones III. I can't remember his name. No, it's a stupid pun. You know it.
Mr. Little?
It's like it's not John Little. What is it?
I don't know.
It's something dumb.
Okay.
It's a stupid metaphor. And it's like, all right, Jack, you didn't work very hard on that one. But yeah, he's also one of these guys, and they have like this pathological desire to collect things.
Yeah.
They're just a whole half dozen guys who was the Saul Rubinek guy in that Star Trek episode where he kidnapped Data.
Yes.
And they want these like things, and so they're all willing to like threaten Wakanda or the Earth's safety to get their hands on these special treasures. And there's this one guy who sort of rides the line of that, where he's willing to work with T'Challa, and T'Challa's kind of using him to like foil their schemes, but he's also using T'Challa because he's going to put some stuff in his pockets while they're in all these amazing places. And it's like Indiana Jones meets Black Panther. Like, I thought it was great.
Yeah. No, it was entertaining.
Yeah. And it kind of loses its way a little bit. Of course, we get to the Black Musketeers part that I mentioned before, which I think would be a great second film. If they want to keep adding to their cast, let's go out and find a bunch more black actors and let's, like, do this.
Sure.
And then Kirby quits the book around issue 11 or 12.
Oh, no.
Because apparently he just felt like they weren't giving him enough to do. I don't know if he wanted to do Black Panther specifically at that time. And he's replaced by Jim Shooter, of all people. And an artist who, remember, this is like 78, who is drawing in the 70s, but if you look at his art, this guy, I can't remember his name, is the template for what comics, he was riding the edge of what comics would be. If I took the panels in this Black Panther from 12 or 13 on, and slip them into like a backup X-Men book from the 90s, you would never know the difference.
Sure.
Like, it's totally, it has a very modern look. It's completely different from what Jack Kirby was doing. But yet it also kind of works. And I think it's kind of cool. There's this plot where it's a Jack Kirby weirdo alien. This guy he's a giant blob, basically, that lives on a floor.
Okay.
Let me finish. And he's like pure mental energy. And T'Challa is fighting his half-brother who has been exposed to vibranium and become this giant monster. And in fighting him, T'Challa is exposed to vibranium as well and gains like psychic powers. So he
Okay.
can like detect that like some people are being kidnapped from Wakanda for some reason. And he goes and he finds these guys and they hide in this mountain. They can phase through matter. And it becomes the kind of story I want to see from a Black Panther comic where he's up against guys who have weird powers. He's disadvantaged. He's disoriented, and he has to like go to ground and do the thing where Batman's like, "All right, I can't punch you all in the face. I'm gonna hide in the shadows and just pull you up by a noose, from the ceiling or whatever."
Sure.
And you'll be like, "Hey, Frank, Frank, where's Frank? Ah, you're dead next, right?"
Right.
And he just basically systematically takes out all these guys, and he finds this guy, the blob guy I told you about, and he's been taking people and converting them into energy and then like eating the energy.
Oh my gosh.
But like, and that keeps him alive. But somehow he's also sort of saving their personalities, in like this cube. So T'Challa
Okay.
defeats him and takes the cube, and he's like, "Well, I'll do the Chadwick Boseman voice." No, I was going into Tom Hardy there for a second. And he's like, "Well, I don't know if these people are like alive or dead, but maybe Wakandan science can return their lives." And the blog guy's like, "Please leave them with me. It's not death. They'll just be free of individual thoughts. It's like oblivion. If you don't give them to me, I'll starve." And Panther's like, "Yeah," and just walks out. It's like, we don't see that guy again, at least not for a while. Like, that's kind of the Panther justice, He doesn't want to
Yeah.
kill you, but you push him too far, and it's like, all right, I'm done.
Right.
I am a king.
Right.
Imperious Rex, that's the other guy. So yeah, I would definitely say check all those out. We mentioned the Ta-Nehisi Coates stuff. I am not super up on the Christopher Priest stuff, but a lot of people talk about it, and it was good enough that it got put into the movie, so I would
Sure.
definitely say check that out. But yeah, Black Panther, if you become a fan, go get the comics, because they're available.
Yep.
It's not like you've got years and years and years of stuff to dig through. That's kind of the one benefit of him being kind of a marginal character. You can read all the Black Panthers pretty easy if you want to.
Yeah, you can.
That's pretty good. I think we've pretty much hit it. You ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think so.
Anything else you want to say about Black Panther movie, comic? Sound effects?
They go in the comic. They go to this place that's run by Ronins. Like there's 9 Ronin samurai,
I know.
and
Jack was having fun. Let's
I
go to this
know.
mountain in Africa. It's full of samurai. Okay.
yeah, and they're trying to get this water skin of life or what have you.
Right, the water of eternal youth.
Yes. And I just kind of, in my experience, being a Ronin is not something you want to be. It's something that is dishonorable. And yet, these Ronin had honor and had it taken away from them.
Jack
So,
took a vacation to Japan.
yeah, I guess so.
He read the Sword and the Chrysanthemum, so he was trying some stuff out.
Okay. So, I was a little confused by that, but
It's dealt with, I think, sensitively. I mean, clearly you introduce a foreigner as a villain. You're othering hard,
Yeah.
But he was at least trying to get all the details. And so, yeah, like you said, it doesn't really matter. I mean, who was their lord? They were just like,
Yeah,
they were like the
exactly.
9 Ronin that were protecting. It's a kind of Indiana Jonesy and the Last Crusade type thing. They're protecting a water of life. These knights live in a
Yes.
mountain and protect the water of life.
right.
Let's go talk to Steven Spielberg and bring our lawyers. But yeah, but I mean, they were skilled opponents. He included this whole thing about how they fight with their swords, and of course, a sword is a samurai's soul or whatever, so you can't
Right.
touch it. But T'Challa is the Black Panther, so he like cold cocks the guy and knocks him out. And so when the guy wakes up, he's like, "Well, I'm gonna kill myself." And
Yep.
T'Challa's like, "Why? There's no problem. You got beat by somebody better than you.
Right.
That'll make you better. Who cares?" He's like, "That's not how I do it. I gotta kill myself." And so T'Challa stops the quest. He just completely stops what they're doing, and he's like, "We're gonna go see your boss, and we're gonna talk to him about this.
Yep.
Because I'm a king, and I know how to run things, and your guy's running things wrong."
Right.
And he goes and talks to his boss, and he's like, "You're gonna let this guy kill himself? He's a good warrior." So it's like, it's cultural interference, but
Right.
but it crosses lines of culture to say, dumb rules are dumb.
Yes,
And, that's a good message, I think.
that's true.
Dumb rules are dumb.
Yep.
So, let's get rid of dumb rules.
Okay.
Oh! The beasts are hungry and restless, so
Yes.
we'll wrap it up from here. But thanks for listening. I want to remind you, if you didn't hear already, that you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and find us there at Just Enough Trope to keep abreast of developments in the world of the nerd and nerdy entertainment, and also what's going on with us. We're on a little break right now, and we're reorganizing, but we plan to come back soon with a new format and a new tude.
That's right.
A radical tude, and so we'll be doing that. In the meantime, you can check out the other shows on our network. We've got Enterprising Individuals, which is a Star Trek discussion podcast that goes into excruciating detail about the world of Star Trek. I interview Star Trek authors, screenwriters, all kinds of people, actors and personalities about their favorite Star Trek episodes, and also bring Star Trek news updates. So you can check that out at enterprisingindividuals.com. Also, we have a show called Craft to Services, which is, it started off, we're going to do this every other week, and then life got in the way. Oh, life. So it's more of a update when they're ready show, but we've already got a good bed of shows there to check out. It's a show where we look at the movies that critics didn't like,
Right.
but audiences did. The movies that history has forgotten, but audiences remember. And some interesting selections, and an interesting panel of guests, screenwriters, authors, movie professionals, talking about films that didn't hit, weren't real great when they came out,
Right.
but are household names today, and how we got there. So check that out at crafttoservices.com. And I think that is just about it. Did I say all the things?
I think you said all
It's been
the
a little
things.
while. Also, I think if you go to Apple Podcasts or your podcasting platform of choice, subscribe to us, and then you're going to know. It's like hitting that bell. You'll know right when we come back, and you'll be able to get more of our news about the world of nerdy entertainment. Also, give us a like or a thumbs up or like a rating or whatever you get when you're there. A review would be good too if you have the time, because
Absolutely.
we like to hear feedback from you. So while you're there, give us 5, or maybe not. Like give us 5 stars, 5 heart-shaped herbs.
There you go.
That way you can get the powers, lose them, get them, lose them. One more, you got them.
Yeah. That works.
Yeah. Something else I didn't really like about the film. What if you took Cap's Vita serum away, and then you gave it back, and you took it away again, and you'd get sick of that, right?
Yes.
Well, we've got a movie where that happens.
Yep.
But it's the best movie ever, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's not mess with that too much.
Okay.
Okay. Also, if you're really tough, and you've got vibranium everywhere, maybe getting stabbed in the chest isn't a big deal,
That's true.
right? Like,
Yeah.
maybe you just pull the knife out, and then the suit heals you, and you're like, yo, what's up? I'm gonna fight you again. Come on. Where's your train now? So anyway, give us 5 stars on your listening platform of choice. We'd appreciate it. We'll be back when we're back. Blah. We'll be back when we can talk. No promises, but see you soon. And signing off, it's your host Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.